During 2020, cruise lines like Royal Caribbean were burning through $250 million per month, so you'd be forgiven for thinking that the cruise lines weren't planning their new cruise ships. Luckily for you and me, they do plan their new cruise ships about 4 years in advance, so there are loads of new cruise ships for us to enjoy in 2021. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC, Princess, almost all the major cruise lines do have new cruise ships coming out, and cruising is going to be better than ever. Way back in 2016, Carnival ordered a cruise ship for 2020. She was to be called Mardi Gras. She was named after Carnival's original Mardi Gras, which set sail for Carnival in 1972. One of the most interesting features about Mardi Gras is the fact that she's the first cruise ship to have a roller coaster on the top deck. And we're not talking some silly little roller coaster, a proper roller coaster that can go 40 miles per hour on top of a cruise ship. The roller coaster is actually going to be 800 foot long, so this is a serious roller coaster. On a lot of the Carnival cruise ships, you'll find things like water slides and ropes courses, but a roller coaster is something new, not just for Carnival, but for the entire industry. Carnival have a lot of cruise ships and they range in size dramatically. Mardi Gras is actually going to be pretty huge. She's going to have 20 decks and 6,500 passengers. That's a pretty big cruise ship. Inside the cruise ship, you'll find that it's split into 6 onboard zones. One of my favourite is the Grand Central Atrium. It's not only an atrium, as in a place where you go up and down the stairs and maybe get a coffee. The atrium is going to be an entertainment space in its own right. It's going to go over multiple levels, and I'm sure it's going to be full of life. It's going to be very, very busy in this space, things going on all hours of the day. Another part that I think is very interesting is this part at the aft of the cruise ship. For me personally, the more swimming pools a cruise ship has, the happier I am. And not only does this cruise ship have multiple swimming pools, but they're also pretty big. So that's a big tick point from me. The Carnival Mardi Gras will have a little sister coming along soon. She is called the Carnival Celebration, and she will also have the roller coaster on the top deck. Mardi Gras is for you if you like cruising with your family, if you're a young person, if you're pretty much anybody who likes to have fun, a Carnival cruise is for you. They mostly cruise from the US and do shorter itineraries, so if you want to take a cruise that's maybe 5 to 8 nights long out of America, just having a fun time, Mardi Gras is for you. Bonus points if you like roller coasters, but you don't have to. Celebrity Cruise Line have been planning these cruise ships for a long time. It was all the way back in 2014 that they placed an order for Edge and Apex. The Celebrity Edge and the Celebrity Apex each cost around $1 billion to build, and the Celebrity Apex was supposed to be launched in early 2020. I was actually supposed to be on board. It was right at the start of the pandemic, and it was very touch and go as to whether the event I was supposed to go to would happen. Looking back, I'm pretty glad that it didn't happen. At the time, we had no idea what coronavirus was, but I think it was a good move from them to cancel the event. But it has meant that her first year, she hasn't sailed, which is such a shame. Compared to the other cruise ships in this list, the Celebrity Apex isn't huge. She'll have around 2,900 passengers, which is my favourite size of cruise ship. It's big enough that you've got plenty of options, but also it's small enough that it doesn't feel like a million miles to walk to the buffet, which if you walk to the buffet as much as I do, is important. One of the most unique features of the Celebrity Edge and the Celebrity Apex is what is called the Magic Carpet. The Magic Carpet is basically a platform that's on the side of the cruise ship and it moves up and down. The Magic Carpet is used when tendering. It basically is a platform that you can walk on to get from the cruise ship to the tender without having to go up and down steps, which is very, very handy. When it's not being used for tendering, it is either a bar or a restaurant, which is very, very cool. No other cruise line has ever done anything like that. Personally, I think it's worth cruising with Celebrity just for the food. Just to head to the buffet and get a Yorkshire pudding is absolutely amazing. That's your British-ism of the week. A Yorkshire pudding it's not a pudding, it's kind of like a pancake thing, but you eat it with dinner, you eat it with gravy, you eat it with potatoes, and it's absolutely amazing. Here's my picture of a Yorkshire pudding. That's your British-ism of the week. Because celebrity cruises are trendy and a bit different, they're often quite far ahead when it comes to cruising trends, and one thing that they've done is they've created something that's called an infinite veranda. So this is basically taking the idea of a balcony cabin, turning it upside down and changing it into something completely different. The idea of the infinite veranda is that it kind of brings the inside outside and the outside inside. It kind of creates a space that you can use even if the weather isn't amazing, and it expands your cabin into the outside. On a traditional balcony cabin, you're very much on the balcony or you're inside, and this tries to kind of eliminate that. This actually reminds me of river cruise ships. On most river cruise ships, you won't have an actual balcony that you can step out into, because river cruise ships are pretty narrow. So what they'll do instead is they'll have a massive floor to ceiling glass window that comes down, and then a section of the room will become the balcony. It's kind of like that. The main swimming pool on this cruise ship is absolutely huge, and there is so much deck space on Celebrity cruise ships. They also love to kind of involve nature. On some of their older cruise ships, you will find real grass lawns. On the Celebrity Edge and the Apex, you'll find an area which is called Eden that has lots of plants. It's lovely and relaxing, and it really is something that no other cruise line has done. The Celebrity Apex is for you if you're probably an adult, you're somebody who wants to be culturally immersed in the place that you're going to. If you like your food, you'll like a Celebrity cruise. It's definitely for people who are a bit more grown up. It is a grown up, sophisticated, romantic cruise. At the moment, it includes Wi-Fi, tips and drinks, so it isn't necessarily for budget cruisers. It's more on the premium side. It is a luxurious cruise. But if you're a luxurious person, that will work for you. When you think of Royal Caribbean bringing out a new cruise ship, you probably think it's going to be the biggest cruise ship ever, the most exciting, the this, the that, the most dramatic. But this time, Royal Caribbean have actually made a cruise ship that isn't the biggest cruise ship ever. If you were to compare it to the majority of other cruise ships, it is still absolutely huge. But this cruise ship isn't as big as the Oasis class for Royal Caribbean. The cruise ship that's coming out soon is the Odyssey of the Seas. She is ready, and she's ready to sail, and she looks really cool. The Odyssey of the Seas is a Quantum Plus cruise ship which came after the Quantum class. Within the Quantum class you have, not very surprisingly, you have Quantum, you also have Anthem and Ovation of the Seas. The Quantum Plus class is Spectrum of the Seas, and now Odyssey of the Seas. Odyssey of the Seas is expected to home port in Florida, which is the perfect place for this cruise ship. The Odyssey of the Seas has everything that you would expect from a Royal Caribbean cruise. It has a skydiving simulator, surf simulator, virtual reality trampolines, you name it, you'll find it on this cruise ship. There are so many bars, so many restaurants. You'll find a lot of families and younger people on this cruise. A feature that you'll find on Odyssey of the Seas and also on some of the other Quantum class ships is called the North Star, which actually takes you 90 meters above sea level, as if you weren't already high enough on the cruise ship, and you can get amazing views up there of the ocean as far as you can see. For me, I think one of the most amazing things about cruising is just how humbling it is and how cool it is to be in the middle of the ocean and see nothing on any side. It's really hard to describe if you haven't been on a cruise, but it makes you feel like a tiny, tiny little dot in the middle of the ocean. So I can only imagine how much cooler it is to see that from 90 meters above sea level. I do have friends who got engaged in the North Star of a cruise ship, which is super cool. What a place to get engaged. Odyssey of the Seas is great for you if you love these fun, big, exciting cruise ships, if you're cruising with your family, if you're a young person, if you like having loads of options for food, for bars, for entertainment, and you don't mind walking quite a long distance around the cruise ship, Odyssey of the Seas is a great choice. There is one cruise line that is popping out cruise ships faster than any other, and I have a piece of the real ship. This is the next MSC cruise ship. This is the MSC Virutosa, and this is an actual piece of the cruise ship. I had to get this through airport security, carrying this in my hand luggage. You can imagine what that looks like when you scan a bag. Not good, but they did let me keep it, so thank you so much. This was June 2018. The MSC Virutosa is going to be the sister ship of the MSC Grandiosa. She was originally planned to set sail in October 2020, but she has been postponed, of course, until 2021. MSC have 19 cruise ships, and these ones are pretty huge. The MSC Virutosa, Grandiosa, Meraviglia, they all hold 5,000 or 6,000 passengers. That said, they never feel busy to me. I've cruised on the MSC Meraviglia twice, and you would never know how many people are on there because it's very well designed. You don't ever see everybody in the same place at the same time. Maybe the buffet, kind of, but it actually does work pretty well. On the MSC Grandiosa, Virutosa, one of the things that I particularly love about the ships are that they have this big street in the middle where you'll find the pub where I spend a lot of my time, you'll find restaurants, you'll find shops. It's a massive LED dome, the biggest LED screen at sea, and they even play shows on the screen within the cruise ship. It's one of the most surreal places I've ever been because it doesn't feel like you're on a cruise ship at all, but it's the perfect place to sit outside the pub, watch everybody go by. It's good. The MSC Virutosa will have 5 swimming pools, and pretty big swimming pools too. They're not skimping on the swimming pool space. They'll also have ropes courses, water slides. There's all kinds of things on there for kids and big kids too. I have been on the ropes courses before. It's very scary. The kids didn't think it was scary, but I thought it was scary. Definitely worth a go. It's free, it's included in your cruise fare, so you have no excuse not to try it. That's what I was told anyway. Also coming out, we have the MSC Seashore, which is the seaside cruise ship, but bigger and reimagined. The MSC Virutosa or Seashore is for you if you're a family, if you're a young person, if you want a relaxed cruise. You have to be okay with the fact that there are going to be multiple languages spoken on board and that it can be a bit crazy, but if you're somebody who wants that, an MSC cruise, especially if you're on a budget, is a really good option. One of the most interesting cruise ships for 2021 is P&O's Iona. She was supposed to launch in 2020, but we all know what happened there. I think it's a very interesting move for P&O Cruises, and I'm really excited about it. I'm actually so excited about it that I did book a cruise on Iona, but let's not talk about that. At some point I will get back on board, I promise. It was back in 2016 that P&O made the decision to get this cruise ship. It's quite an interesting decision. P&O are a British cruise line. They're quite traditional. They have formal nights. You get to meet the captain. Dining is usually fixed, but on Iona they're moving to a more kind of relaxed, flexible, less traditional cruising approach, which I personally much prefer. I don't really like being on a schedule. P&O actually asked their audience what they wanted to call their new cruise ship, and Iona was chosen. P&O did have the final say. They did pick the name, which is good, or I'm sure we would have ended up with something like Boaty McBoatface, but we didn't. We ended up with Iona. Iona is actually named after a small Scottish island. Iona is going to be the first British cruise ship to be powered by LNG, which basically means that she's designed not to emit sulfur dioxide emissions and soot particles. She's going to be super environmentally friendly, the best technology that we have as far as cruise ships go. Iona is going to be our British version. One of my favourite features on board Iona is this central dome area. I've never been on a cruise ship with anything quite like this before, and it's amazing because the space actually transforms. So this is going to be where you dance away your evenings and then you come for maybe a morning swim. She's also going to have a proper gin distillery on board if you're a fan of gin. She will be home porting from Southampton, and she's going to have a sister ship too, which is coming along in 2022. At the moment she doesn't have a name, but I suspect they will ask us to pick a name for her soon. If you do have any ideas for names, leave them in the comments and we can try and get them through. Please don't just call it Potato Boat. I know you guys. P&O's Iona is for you if you're a family, if you're a young person, if you're an older person. They pretty much attract everybody. Most of the people that cruise with P&O are British, but that is not a requirement. You've got to be happy to kind of be relaxed on a P&O cruise. It's not crazy busy compared to the American cruise lines, but if that's for you, sit back by the pool, grab a snack, and have a great P&O cruise. We have new cruise ships from Princess Cruises. We have the Discovery and Enchanted Princess, which will be the 5th and 6th cruise ships in Princess Cruises Royal Class. The Enchanted Princess and Discovery Princess will be joining the Royal Princess, Regal Princess, Majestic Princess, and Sky Princess. The Enchanted Princess was meant to debut in June 2020, and the Discovery Princess is still scheduled to debut towards the end of 2021. Both of these cruise ships are medallion class cruise ships, which means that they're set up to have all of Princess's medallion technology. You can order a drink or a sandwich to yourself and they will know where you are, they will find you and they will bring it to you. Princess Cruises is one of my top cruises for returning to cruising after COVID for this reason. The design of the Discovery and Enchanted Princess cruise ships are very similar to the other cruise ships in the Royal Class. And one thing I think is very important to know is that they have this amazing bed. The best bed that I've ever slept in was on board the Royal Princess, and now every bed on these two cruise ships will be this amazing bed. I don't know how to describe it to you, just trust me. If you want a good night's sleep, just book a Princess cruise right now, because I've never slept in anything like it. It was amazing. I did have a look when I got back home from my Royal Princess cruise at how much it costs to get one of these beds. You can buy it, but I cannot buy it. The Discovery Princess does feature the largest balcony at sea. If you have this cabin and you have this balcony, you pretty much have your own ship there. It's basically like having your own yacht. If you're somebody who wants to relax, you enjoy good food and good service, things being a little bit more calm than on some of the bigger American cruise lines, Princess are a really good option. They are kind of traditional in their dress codes and their dining, but you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. Costa cruise ships are loud, they're bright, they're colourful, and their new cruise ships are no different. Costa are bringing out the Costa Firenze and the Costa Toscana, both of which look very Costa to me. The design on board is very much Italian inspired. I would say that they've kind of toned down some of the colours compared to the older Costa cruise ships. I took a cruise on the Costa Luminosa, which was so much fun. It was very much cheap and cheerful though, and very, very brightly coloured. If you have a look at this, which is the Costa Luminosa, and compare this to the newer cruise ships, I feel like they've toned down the colours. These two cruise ships are also LNG powered in the same way that we talked about P&O's Iona earlier, which means they're as environmentally friendly as we know how to make cruise ships right now. Not only are they looking at making these cruise ships environmentally friendly through their power, but they're also doing all kinds of things with desalination and recycling, and trust me, they've got it all worked out. The Costa Firenze is actually the same as Carnival's Vista class. They're all owned by Carnival Cruise Line, so their cruise ships are kind of the same. So if you imagine the Carnival Vista and make it Italian, that's kind of what the Costa Firenze is. The Costa, Toscana and Firenze is a great option if you're a family, if you're a young person, if you want a light, bright, colourful, cheap cruise. A Costa cruise is a really great option. There is no denying it, Virgin Voyages picked the worst time to launch a cruise ship. They were planning on launching Scarlet Lady at the beginning of 2020, and now they have Valiant Lady ready to go. I did actually spend a night on board Scarlet Lady just before the pandemic happened. She has never had any paying passengers on board. It was such bad luck for Virgin to launch at that time, but by the time we cruise again, they're going to have multiple cruise ships ready to go. In total, Virgin Voyages are planning on having 4 cruise ships, so they've got 2 more which are either on order or being built. Virgin Voyages have designed their cruises for people who don't do cruises. They've taken every cruising thing and flipped it upside down on its head. One thing that I do like about Virgin Voyages is that their cruise fare does include a lot. It includes all of the dining venues on board, it includes Wi-Fi, it includes some exercise classes and some drinks too. So once you've kind of paid for a Virgin voyage, that's pretty much it. When I visited the cruise ship back in 2020, I didn't fall in love with the cruise ship in the way that I expected to, but there are a couple of things on board Virgin Voyages cruise ships that I think will help them in the future. One is the buffet. They say that they don't have a buffet. They kind of don't. It's pretty much a buffet, but it is separate sections and they serve you your food. This is how all buffets are going to be on cruise ships going forward, and Virgin Voyages just already have that. They just thought of that before they knew that they needed it. Another thing that I think will help them in the future is that they do have a technology called the Band. It's similar to MSC's For Me technology or the Ocean Medallion, and that will definitely help them in a post-COVID world. It definitely helps them to be COVID safe. I definitely am interested in seeing how paying passengers enjoy Scarlet Lady and enjoy Virgin Voyages. I was not very impressed when I visited the Scarlet Lady, but I did only spend 1 day on board. Watch this video next to find out what I thought. This video's had over 500,000 views and thousands of comments. Most of the comments do agree with me, so let me know what you think.